Greetings and welcome. This is Psychic Medium Roberto, and I truly hope you're doing well today. All right, the subject matter is of a mature nature and deals with true crime events. All cases are treated as alleged until proven in a court of law. And in today's case, I'll be looking at the cold case Mercedes Vega, who unfortunately was discovered on April the 17th in a burnt vehicle or burning vehicle. Not very nice at all. I'm just highlighting the 16th and 17th because that's when it would have happened. Now, her 1 year anniversary has just passed in terms of the case still being unsolved. And it's been pinging on me for the past 2 days, like heavy, popping up on my feeds. So I thought, let's have a look at it. So Mercedes was born on March 10, 2001. Okay. That gives her the 3, 10, 1, and 3. We note she has 3 threes. And she has the 13, 4 in the day, which is the combination of the month and the day. 13, 4. And the 16, 7 life path with a 7 outcome. All right, so life path number 7. Now, when I saw her date of birth and the circumstances around her crime, something pinged on me even further in that I believe, and I got this impression pretty much straight away, but going through the numbers, it's been confirmed. The 13-4, her date of birth is going to prove to be important in this case, in that who she is, the type of person she is, not the back pages of some newspaper, but who she actually is. 13-4 is the truth speaker, the truth talker. And with the life path, 16-7 is about justice. 16-7, 7 being about justice, and the 6 is about humans. So if she comes across a situation where a human being is in trouble or has an issue, she will speak out. She will. Now, when I heard her date of birth and the circumstances of her crime, and I don't want to get too graphic because the little bit I heard in a video on a 1 year recap video, no human being should ever go through that. And just be cautioned, if you do go Google about it, just know that it is quite a horrendous crime. So please exercise caution. So the first thing I did was look at the 3 days after the event, and that of course gives me a good idea of what was going on. And I can tell you now there was a lot going on around her. And in particular, what was going on about the situation. And this wasn't a once-off situation. For example, as far as the narrative goes, she was called to work at 9:15 or 9 o'clock that evening. The surveillance footage, I actually have a shot of that. The surveillance footage has her walking out her apartment in the basement area where the cars are, just after 9 o'clock in the evening. Now, having reviewed what happened after, and I can tell you now There's definitely a deal that has gone wrong. And it's not, and let's just be clear, I want to just be clear here, because I don't want other elements being clouded by people's judgments on this case, or follow certain leads and they assume because she did part-time work as a dancer, therefore her whole life was about that. Definitely not. So I'm just going to make that very clear. So on the screen grab that I got from the video, the surveillance footage, we see her exiting the basement area at 9:15, heading to her vehicle. And that was on the evening, as I've got it here, April the 16th. So I've got that blue arrow. So unfortunately, that is in a treacherous zone, 27.9. Because we know the outcome is a negative outcome, the 27.9 is a hit. And in fact, I'm just going to make a note here. So it was planned. Let's start with that. It was planned. So I'm saying she wasn't called innocently to come do work because someone was missing. She was called by someone she knew, who she had met earlier in the week or even before, but certainly, and we'll go through it, the lead up from April the 10th to the event day. Whoever called her to go there was a familiar person, and the familiarity is actually evidenced in April the 13th, 24/6, 15/6, older male and familiar to Mercedes. So she knew this person. It wasn't a first meeting. It wasn't a introductory meeting of any sorts. She knew the person well. And I'm just going to put your familiar, known, older male. And we're going to go back to and start from April the 10th, and we're going to go through the build-up, what I believe was happening during this week. And I'm going to earmark days where investigations should be focused as well. And unfortunately, and I'm going to say it here, you may have already read the paragraph on the top there, I believe there are law enforcement or of the nature and lawmakers involved in this situation, in this crime. I have not delved into the case enough to know where the investigation has been. All I know is it's still unresolved a year later. I know the context of the crime. A young woman was found in a car. I know the context of the crime. A young lady was found in a burning car. And discovered on the morning of April the 17th. All right, so I believe a murder obviously occurred by someone she knew, a male, and not only just a male. There's a group of people involved here as well. There's a group of people, and one of the groups are definitely the boys' club, like the Men in Blue Boys Club, or the group that included police officers or law enforcement people that were having lots of fun and then got caught in a compromising situation. And I believe Mercedes had that information, that these people found themselves compromised and had to eliminate her because she would technically be the only one that knew what was going on. That's my summary. Now, let's go back to the beginning, or at least on this slide, April the 10th. And just for disclosure, I actually had it up till April. I started only on April the 11th. But when I started going and getting an outcome, I was told by Spirit to include April 10, and even Mercedes was pinging on me. So April the 10th needs to be investigated as well. Let me just make that red here while I can. The day, April the 10th, is one of the days that needs to be investigated in terms of as to what was happening in Mercedes's life on that day, April 10. April 10 all the way up to April 17, but I'm going to point out key days here. So April the 10th, we see that 10, 1, 14, 5. Now, the reason why that's particularly of interest, and this is why Spirit and Mercedes wanted me to include it, because it's a reflection of the reflection day of her murder. Does that make sense? April 10, so let me put it this way. April 10 is the genesis or the start of the outcome of the April 16, 17 situation for me. There may have been, of course, her previous engagements with these people on a, let's say, social level may have occurred before, but I'm saying that the deal or the situation that got her into the situation, I believe, began on April the 10th. We see 10, 1. Now, I'll go through all of them. 10, 1 is definitely a large sum of money. 10, 1 also alludes to a group situation. And when I say group, I mean in the sense of 14, 5, you got a bad group of people. 14, 5, misfits, like those 4 miserable misfits from Oklahoma, that side. Justice is going to be served, thank goodness. So here we have 14, 5, a band of brothers, a team with ill intentions, believe linked to money, may include drugs as well. Ever present are the 7s. Now, the following day, April 11. So we've got 11-2 in play already, starts to say there's illegal activity happening. 14-5 in this kind of situation is also an illegal number. Money laundering, money, drugs, or let's say black market activities, right? So on April 11, we got this 11-2 on the move. Now we see this older male, 15-6, with a plan. 22-4, plan. And who does he bump into or meet? Mercedes. 13-4, pings on her. Even the next day, the 16-7 pings directly on her. And we have the presence of the 14-5. So I believe between, and maybe I should just put like a double arrow here. But between April 10 and April 12, you will find your perpetrators and see who she engaged with over this time, because this is where they are. This is where I believe and I'll just say again, just so we're clear, she may have met these people before, and hence the connection, but it was this sequence here that would then trigger what we know as the outcome today. The confirmation for me that Mercedes is involved here, in that she was lured into the situation, let's just be clear, she's definitely not the mastermind or leading this group. But because there's a 14-5 outcome on April the 12th, tells me there's something wrong with this situation. She got herself into a situation here. Not of her own doing, and that also comes from spirit, not of her own doing, but I believe, in fact, let me just read what I wrote at the top there, because I was trying to find what to say and read. So here it is, the day, so April the 12th, this day needs to be investigated. I believe Mercedes got caught up in something here and was used against her. So this could have even been April the 12th, for example. I'm not necessarily saying this is what happened. Could have been a sting operation, whatever that may look like. And she was caught up in the middle of it and was used against her for the later situation that's coming up. So I'm definitely getting a sense there's definitely police involved when you have that many sevens around. Also, you know, the first thing I do if I see sevens at a crime scene, I try to first make sure that it's not police, you know. But there's too many other supporting numbers that says there's definitely police involvement here, unfortunately. And again, I don't know how far the case is or what the history of the case itself. All I know is it was the 1-year anniversary a few days ago. So there's too many sevens around, including April the 14th. Now we're jumping ahead a little bit. Including April the 14th, we see the stack of sevens. Including the day that she was murdered on April the 16th, it would have been very late evening, midnight, early morning in that zone. I don't think we need to get into the nitty-gritties of exactly pinpointing when, but the intention on April the 16th was there to murder her already. The reason for her death is she knew the people involved in the deal. So I'll just say again, in that block, 10, 1, 14, 5, there's a deal going down between people. There's a deal going down. And for whatever reason, Mercedes gets caught up in the middle of it, 16, 7 in the middle of April 12. But I believe she was tricked into that situation on April the 12th, because the outcome 14-5 is also lying, untruths, deception. So I believe Mercedes was lured into this situation, deceived. Now, the April the 13th, let me just finish saying, yeah. Also, Mercedes knew they were law enforcement. Right? Something happened on April the 12th that compromised her for whatever reason. And law enforcement were involved in the situation. So April the 16th, we see that 11-2 in the middle of the day. That for me is also a big, in fact, let me just mark it red now. That is a big warning red flag, because definitely illegal event, 11-2 illegal. But it's also saying that the people involved are part of 11-2 and 7. Something went very wrong here. And this is why I looked at her date of birth first. She's a 13-4. The truth speaker. Now, April the 13th is alarming for me because we see the presence of the 15-6, which is this older male, familiar older male. What concerns me and worries me the most, it's in the same block as 24, 6, and 6, which means not only does she know the male, I believe this male might even be known to the friends and family as well. There's, like I said in the beginning of this video, there's a lot going on here. There's a lot going on here. The April the 14th is also problematic for me here, because April the 14th, we have that 14-5, which is the Band of Brothers, the Deal, the Misfits, with 18-9 in mind. That they're already on the hunt here. Something went down here, and I believe it may, from between April 10, April 12, and April 12 is like the day, I would imagine. But within that zone, that already by April the 14th, they were gunning for her already. 14-5, 18-9, 25-7. The 16-7 pings directly on Mercedes. That's what I'm saying. The guns were out. They were already after her, I believe, yeah. So we got that 16-7, which pings directly on her. And all those numbers bring in everyone. The 14-5, the 18-9. We note April the 15-6 is right at the top of the day. Older male is on the move. 19-10-1, 10-1 pings on April the 10th, as well as the reflection of this crime, April 19-10-1. Now, this is where I think things got out of hand, because 26-8 says there must have been an argument or a fight about this situation. And I believe the argument or the order came from the group 10-1. It was ordered. So I believe April 15 is now you better get it done. And I'm telling you now, this 15-6 older male, when this truth comes out, because the crime did happen on a 7-year, justice will be served. And Mercedes is a 7 life path. Don't mess with 7s. So now we get to April the 16th. There's 16-7, and we see the mass of 7s. There's anomaly. Mercedes present in the day. 11-2, a law is going to be broken. Now, I also believe, because we see that 22-20 with an outcome 2, and we'll also note, and I'm just drawing your attention to April the 19th, the last block. You see the 33. Now, this is what makes me believe Mercedes was going to talk, was going to speak out about what was happening. 30 with an outcome 3-0, emotional feminine outburst. There's another outburst on the day, April the 16th, 22 is an outburst. Crying. She knew something. And it involved police. So April the 17th, the day of discovery, We see that treacherous 21-3. (21-3) is being trapped in that car against your will. This wasn't a random murder. Someone calls her for a date or has to go to work or what. This was premeditated, planned, and executed in professional fashion. In professional fashion. When a crime scene is too clean, professional hands. Now, April the 17th already starts to show, for example, 28-10-1, which is the arguments, the fighting, the shouting, the backwards and forwards arguments, 10-1 in play. And just for clarity's sake, because you might be wondering, Mercedes does have the 10 the day that she was born. But in this case, it's more about the organization involved, the 10-1. It's the group or organization. But there's also big money in play here. So there could be nice little schemes running there on the black market with local police and law enforcement and drug runners and little gangs and groups, and Mercedes finds out about it or hears about it or is privy or is witness to something. But definitely April 12, big day to investigate. April 10, big day to investigate. And April the 14th, I'd even say, day to investigate. Who were the people in her life at this time? And we're looking within the first and second peripheries because these were familiar people between the second and third. So they're around her for sure. Familiar. The April the 18th reflects the murder 18-9, 13-4 is unfortunately directly linked to Mercedes. But there's also the hidden 22-4 in the brackets there. I'm going to mark it now. The hidden 22-4 is a plan. Is a plan. This was definitely premeditated by law enforcement people and other gang people, unsavory types, running guns, running money, running cash, whatever the deal is. So that when we get to April the 19th, the April the 18th has that 11-2. Illegal, illicit trade activities going on, including law enforcement involved, filling up their left pockets. And back pockets. And front pockets by the looks of things here. Lots of illegal, illicit trade going on with law enforcement involved. So when we get to April the 19th, the 19-10-1 is the deal because of money from a gang or group of people, like-minded people, criminals, and even criminals wear badges because they couldn't control Mercedes, what she had seen or heard, but she definitely had some information. And the I don't know what day it was, so beg your pardon, but the days leading up from April 10 all the way to April 17, not so nice things going on in the background. And I'll just finish off by saying, 7 will always bring about justice. Mercedes has lovely numbers. There's no way she would get involved, even if she was forced, with that 13-4. That's the nature of 13-4s. 13-4s, let me explain. 13-4, if I had to equate them to understand the type of people they are, I mean, they can be friendly, of course, but in essence, at the core, at the root, they are like Fort Knox. Now, if we just take it on a simplistic level, to become her friend and to be trusted by her and to be in the middle circle, close best friend, you're going to need some serious passcodes, swipe codes, fingerprints, all sorts of stuff before you get into her center as a trusted individual. Okay? That's just the nature of 13-4s. Very guarded, very protective. They don't need lots of friends. They have their small-knit group of friends or family, and that's it. Now, the 16-7 is... The 16-7 is just a joy for life. Absolute joy for life. And she has a couple of 3s there, so well-groomed, always look well. First impressions are important. Design, artistic, creative, feminine. And from April the 10th, we have a group of males, scrupulous males from April the 10th, may have been engaged before, but certainly from April 10 till the conclusion on April the 17th, we got a band of brothers, and Mercedes unfortunately got caught in the middle of something. So the people we're actually looking for are right in front of us. I'm not saying all police are bad. No. I'm not saying that at all. But there's a little gang or group here in this area, wherever this crime took place, that are made up of 1 or 2 or 3 bad apples. And they thought Mercedes was going to be a pushover. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's look forward to justice being served with Mercedes, which will happen. But I believe the people we're looking for are also the people that are looking for the people, if you know what I mean. All right, please leave your comments. I love engaging with your comments. I do want to hear what you have to say. And yeah, please stay safe, stay alert. We're almost out of retrograde, so we can come out and have some more fun later. All right, take care, have fun, bye for now.